Hello and welcome back everyone to Flim Flam Films. We hope you enjoyed your spring break if you were on it, and if not, I hope you had a great day anyway. So, how are you today, Steven?
Zane, I'm just doing,
Oh, yeah, me too.
just another day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so last time on the show we said the next movie would be a surprise.
And it is, boy oh boy.
And I guess it's a surprise in a way.
It was a surprise because we decided earlier this morning, so...
Yeah, since you've already read the title, we're going to be discussing Hot Fuzz, which was released in 2007, directed by Edgar Wright, written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, produced by Nira Park, Tim Barron, and Eric Fellner, and starring Simon Pegg as Nicholas Angel, Nick Frost as Daniel Butterman, Jim Broadbent as Frank Butterman, and Timothy Dalton as Simon Skinner, among others, with also many cameos in the film.
Oh, yeah. I guess we'll do one... No, we'll save them for later.
Okay.
Because that's a cool little thing.
Yeah. So, Hot Fuzz is about Nick Angel, which I have to say is a...
He's a twat.
Is what? Why?
It's just what they call him,
Well, he's
detectives.
a great guy. Nick Angel is a great name for a cop in a cop movie.
It is a great name.
But he works in London as a police officer. He's been doing it for quite a while, and he's so good and exceptional at his job that he makes every single other person in the force look bad by comparison. So his superiors ship him off to a tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, and he soon realizes that there might be some strange happenings going on in the town.
Yes, that's a good summary.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll dive in right into what the film did well.
Okay.
First off,
what did it do well?
What I think the film did exceptionally well, especially for an action
It's a buddy cop movie, pretty much.
buddy cop. Yeah. There wasn't a lot. I don't think there was any real plot holes. Everything that happened, saw it happen in a good pace.
Mm-hmm.
Everything made sense, and they went and referenced back to a lot of things throughout the movie. You're like, oh, they didn't mention that. Okay, it makes perfect sense now.
Mm-hmm. You're a big continuity guy?
Yes, very, very important.
Mm.
Like even closer to the end of the movie, with the little kid and his name, he's
Wait.
like the little ginger boy. At the
Okay.
end of the movie.
I still don't know what
name.
I still don't know what the thing about his name is. What is it?
Okay, well, he is. It's like a AAA name.
Okay.
But they reference all the way in the back there. The detectives are like, "What, you want us to start with?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's your job." But he thought it was a made up name. Also, the names in this film are fantastic.
Oh yeah, the names are great.
Through and through, fantastic. Like, who's the one guy the guy that wants a swan? What do you know his full name?
No, but the actor's name is Stephen Merchant, and he's a British actor. He's been in many films, and he's a comedian. He's great. I love him.
So basically, he calls about the swan.
Yeah, he has a missing swan.
Yeah, he's talking to Angel, and his name basically spells out piss taker. He's like, oh, good one. Really showed me, and then he goes.
And that was his actual name.
It was actually his name was basically piss taker. And then, they cracked me up.
And that swan is actually key to the end of the movie. We won't say how though.
Again, good continuity.
Mm-hmm. What else did you enjoy about the film, Stephen?
I think most of the transitions were really well.
Oh, they're very, very snappy and quick.
Yeah.
A lot of quick cuts.
At the end, all the fight scenes choreographed really well. One thing that I did like that you don't see a lot in, I guess, films just nowadays, except for John Wick. This is one of the first movies I actually see people reload sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's still like, obviously they have like 17 bullets and like a 12 clip, but you still see them reload, and you gotta respect that. So those are two things. Another thing I'll say for later, but what did you like?
Oh boy,
what did you think the film did well?
Well, I have quite a bit to say about this movie.
Oh, okay.
So to start off with, my cousin introduced this film to me when we were young, and my cousin and I, we used to have those.
Came out in 07, right?
Yeah, came out in 07. We used to have those tiny, like, silver portable DVD players that we would take on car trips and stuff like that, and he
Nice.
showed it to me. And then after that, I watched it a lot, and It's a great movie. It's very nostalgic, but I still think it's a great movie on its own. And I also just wanted to say very quickly that one thing that I really like about us doing this show is that I'm like rediscovering like movies that I liked and stuff like that, because I've said like a couple times in previous episodes about how we've pretty much almost gone over my top 5 favorite films already. But thinking back on it, I completely forgot about Hot Fuzz and a bunch of other films that I thought about. So it's not said that the movies we talked about before I don't like. I do. There's so many that I really, really enjoy and love that it would be difficult for me to actually do that.
Top 5 is becoming more of a top 25, but
more top infinity.
Yeah, it's just they're all really good films.
Yes, great, not good. So what I do enjoy about the film is I really like. Do you know any other films that Edgar Wright has directed?
Not off the top of my head.
Do you know what the Cornetto trilogy is?
No.
Okay, do you know what a Cornetto is?
Probably not.
Okay, so a Cornetto is basically.
If I do,
it's like a little ice cream cone that you can buy.
Oh yeah, when they're eating throughout the film.
Yeah. So have you seen or heard of Shaun of the Dead?
I know of Shaun of the Dead. Yes.
Do you know of The World's End, or At World's End? I think so. I
haven't watched any of them, but I know of them.
Those 3 films are all directed by Edgar Wright, and they're also written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. And they all have they have obviously very different plots and characters and whatnot. But it's similar comedy and all that kind of stuff. And it's called the Cornetto trilogy because there are 3 different flavors of Cornettos, and they use them each movie. So in Shaun of the Dead, there's a red cornet. They eat red Cornettos because for all the blood and the guts and whatever of the zombies. And this one is
strawberry.
Huh?
So not strawberry.
No, it is strawberry. I'm pretty sure strawberry.
Okay. I hope so if it's red.
And then the blue one in this one, because they're cops. It's a cop movie. And then at World's End, it's green because there are aliens and stuff involved.
Mint. What would blue ice cream? What is blue ice cream?
Just vanilla, like normal, I assume, or maybe like caramel or something. But anyway,
okay.
I really like Edgar Wright's style of comedy, and also this is also, I guess, more in keeping with like British comedy in general in film, because it's a lot. I've noticed a lot quicker.
It's a lot wittier, I think.
Yes, too. A lot of wordplay.
A lot of wordplay. Probably one of my favorite jokes is close to the end, and it's the one worker at the grocery store. She runs up, and then Doris, the police.
She is one of the police officers that works
woman,
at the town.
You know, it's a police officer.
Yes.
She smacks her in the face with a wet floor sign. And she looks at everybody. She goes, they're like, "Oh, nice one, Doris." And she's like, "Yeah, some girl on girl action."
Yeah.
Love that. Then she starts laughing, her awkward laugh, and it's hilarious.
Oh, it's not an awkward laugh. That's just how she laughs.
Yeah, but it's just
like
funny.
that blonde chick with her laugh. Yeah, but I'd say this is a great in the film. There's a great combination of wordplay and visual gags, because I'm about to talk about one that you died at.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
The sound gags too. The sound effects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they do all 3.
The sound design is also very good. But yes. I wanted to say, there's a scene where the 2 detectives that work in this town, I don't remember the names, but they're very funny. They have these mustaches, and they're always.
Oh, they're called the Andrews. The Andres.
Andes.
Yeah, the Andes. Because both of their names are Andrew.
Yeah, and talking to them is like going up a mountain. But they're 2 detectives, and they're very lethargic and don't really seem to care about their job that much, and they're a bit cynical. And
sweet mustaches though.
Yeah, but they really don't like Nick Angel throughout the film, and they're always dogging on him and stuff. And at one point, they all go to a fair, and Nick's like, something's going on, or whatever, and they're like, whatever it is, just stop. There's nothing, okay? And then they look at him, and then like a sound plays like boom, and they look away, and then the one guy in the front dips back in for another one, and you can't see it because we're not recording. It's just audio, but it's pretty great, and Steven loved it.
It's one of those like storm off occasions, like after a death stare.
And he just comes back for another one real quick.
Yeah, but just like dips his head in real quick to look at him again, and then leaves. And it was so good.
Mm-hmm. One thing I always noticed about this film is it's not like. Not that it's not a serious film, but it's not that serious, but all of the gore that happens in the film is like very graphic.
Yeah,
especially when news reporter dies.
Oh yeah.
We won't say how, but there's a string of murders in the movie.
Another graphic scene. This one's not murder. What? When the plant falls on the lady's head and then she hits the car, it looks like her head explodes.
But she's fine.
Also,
they arrested her.
Also, another thing that I really thought the film did well. A lot of the weapons that they used, because they were like in the big like fight scene and whatnot and everything, seemed reasonable and realistic. So, but what I mean by that, like for the majority, like when they start fighting with certain items, like yeah, for like the one lady that was chasing everybody from that worked at the grocery store, they didn't have like a combat knife or anything like ridiculous. They literally used box cutters to try to kill people. And I appreciate that.
Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. I noticed this before when I watched the movie, but it really, really stuck out to me this time when we watched it. And that's excuse me. The first like I'd say half to 3/4 of the movie is to me it felt like there was tension, really high tension the whole time, like from when Nick Angel gets to Stanford until the time of like the turning point where like it starts to hit like the rising, or it's about to hit like the climax or close to the climax, the rising action. When it hits the rising action, it's just like a string that's getting turned a little bit like the whole time. I don't know if it was like that for you, but it felt like that to me because there's so many conversations that Nick has with other people that like just end and then it seems like they're about to fight or something, and then it's just like, oh, the other person's like, oh, it's fine, or oh, just whatever, I'm just gonna go over here. And then you like, there's also a bit of like a mystery aspect too, because when the murders in the film start happening, there's one guy who's clearly seems like the murderer, but then it might be like a red herring type situation.
When that was happening, so the guy that Zane's referencing throughout the whole film, whenever they're talking about anybody that dies or during the crimes, he's just like, yeah, I'll bash your head in.
Yeah, this is Simon Skinner, who's played by the wonderful Timothy Dalton,
who also played, if you remember from Flash Gordon, the Duke.
He was the Baron.
The Baron. Fantastic character, and throughout the film, I know when I was watching with Zane, I literally looked at him. I was like, "This is the only guy I want to be innocent because he's just funny." I don't want to.
Yeah, because you expect it. It's so obvious, and they put it out there. You expect it to be a red herring, and then in a way, I think it kind of is, but not in the way you'd expect it to be. It's not an obvious red herring.
Yeah, it is. I would say so. I think it's a really, really good film.
Yeah, and then when the climax of the movie happens, I feel that all of it, it's a good payoff for the action and all that stuff is a good payoff for the build-up to it.
I think, honestly, the film's build-up, like, it's intense, but the majority of the action is in the last 30 minutes of the film.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Once it hits that, like, sometimes it feels slow building. Like, crazy things are still happening, but it's not like gunfights constantly until, like, basically the last 30 minutes, and then everything happens all at once, which is good, but
end on a high note. End with a lot of like energy and stuff.
Slow build.
Yeah. So, was there anything that you didn't really enjoy the film, or something that stuck out that you thought was weird, perhaps?
I'll come back to that.
Ooh.
But I do want to go, before we say any negative things, Zane, do you have a favorite character or scene?
I would say I really like how you just said. I like Timothy Dalton's character. I like Mr. Skinner. He's pretty funny.
Is he your favorite?
I wouldn't say he's my favorite. I like Nick Angel. He's probably my favorite character, just because, not because he's the funniest, I think, but he is funny.
He is funny. Yeah.
He's just my favorite character in general, because I like his development throughout the film, and I just think he's a really cool and interesting guy. Even though he's kind of like he's like, the type, he's like a workaholic, he doesn't know how to switch off and blah, blah, blah. But he's just a really great police officer and good Samaritan and all that stuff,
See, my favorite character is actually Danny.
Nick Frost, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the supporting actor of the film. I love his whole character from, once Angel gets there, he's always asking him about like the big city, being a cop.
Yeah, if he's done any kind of cool things.
And what I like about him most is he's always referencing movies like Point Break and Bad Boys 2 and Die Hard, and Angel has seen none of these. He watches one of them.
No, they watch Point Break and Bad Boys too.
Oh, okay. Well, they're kind of asleep.
They fall asleep for it,
for
but
Bad Boys too, but they watch Point Break, and that's another thing. Continuity in that after they talk about that film.
I just remembered something I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Without spoiling, it's all really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The little things.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 more things I just remembered, right? So I watched a video the other week discussing that scene in Hot Fuzz where they watch the movies and whatever and show the DVD cases. There's a great YouTube channel that I love to watch called Fact Fiend, and I recommend everyone go and watch their channel because they have a lot of great, interesting, and funny videos. But apparently when they filmed that scene for the movie, it was the most expensive of the whole film, just that few minute season, because there was so much trouble getting all the rights to show those different movies and stuff like that. And I thought that was kind of cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Another fact, since we're talking about facts, they what do they call him? Do they call him a busboy? Or a grocery boy? The big giant.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Anyway, basically, what's the proper word to describe? This man is slow. He is a mental learning disability, but he's a big giant guy, and all he says is narp and yarp, and he is also played by Games of Thrones, the Hound.
Yeah.
Neither of us knew until we were writing down all the names.
But also, I don't watch Game of Thrones, so
Game of Thrones is great.
I'm indifferent.
But you just got to get past season 1.
Yeah.
After season 1, it becomes really good.
All right. The other thing I wanted to say really quick is there are a lot of great cameos by other British actors in the film, and we've already talked about Stephen Merchant, who was the Swan guy.
Don't forget Dr. Watson.
Dr. Watson?
Dr. Watson is the original police. At the very beginning of the movie, when they're telling him he's going to be sent to...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I just didn't know him by... Martin Freeman.
Bennett... Yeah.
Martin Freeman. He's been... I recognize him more from, like, The Hobbit, honestly. Yeah.
Oh, I like Sherlock more than I like The Hobbit, so...
What were you going to say, though?
Oh, I was just saying him.
Oh, and then also the other 2 higher-ups after Martin Freeman at the beginning of the movie, Steve Coogan and Bill Nye, not the science guy, the British actor.
Don't care.
Yeah. Those 2 guys are really funny, especially Steve Coogan. I love him. He's great. And then there's a quick scene in the beginning where Nick talks to his ex at a crime scene, Janine, and you can't, unless you can just recognize her voice. She was played by Cate Blanchett because she's all up in like this gear with like
she has a face mask
and like goggles and a contamination suit and all that. And the last funny cameo is the shortest one, where Peter Jackson is in this film. He at the very beginning, when Nick is recounting his last injury, where he got stabbed by a guy dressed as Santa, it's like a quick 1.5 second shot, and it's Peter Jackson all dressed up, which I thought was hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah.
So anything? Are we leaving out anything other than us rating it?
Well, I would say.
Do you have any negative things to say?
Well, I would say the only thing that has always kind of stuck out to me.
Oh, we never talked about sound effects too. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, but one thing this thing has never really bothered me that much, but I always notice it, is the effects for the blood and some of the gore are not the greatest. But it was 2007, I guess, but it's inconsequential. It's just like nitpicking. So.
Yeah, but sound effects are great. Honestly, they don't do the sound effects like super out of place. Like whenever they use really certain sound effects, it flips back and you're like, oh yeah, this is a comedy. So in one scene, they're hopping over fences, and every time Angel jumps over the fence, you hear. And then there's another scene where it's like straight out of a video game, and he just like looks up and you just hear.
It's like a 1-up sound effect.
Yeah.
He's like.
Yep. All great.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, very good.
And then favorite? Do you have a favorite scene? I don't know if I asked.
I think I do.
Okay.
And it's at the very beginning of the film.
Let's hear it. Oh, okay, because that's good. Mine's at close to the end.
It's a very, very quick gag, and I love visual gags. And at the beginning, when Nick Angel goes to talk to Janine, his ex, at the crime scene that she's working at, everyone there is dressed in like contamination suits and has the mask on and the glasses and whatever. And he's like, he sees her through the window and he's like, hey, I need to come talk to you. And she's like, okay. And then so he walks in, the first person he sees, he just walks through and he's like, listen, Janine, blah, 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 I'm leaving, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm Bob, or whatever. He's just like, oh, Janine's over there. He's like, what? Oh, okay. I love that stuff.
My favorite scene is Danny is shooting, and he's shooting his pistol, and he just goes bang, ba-bang, ba-bang.
Oh yeah. He mimics the gun sound by making an onomatopoeia of the gun shooting, even though in reality you wouldn't hear yourself saying bang if you were shooting the gun simultaneously.
That's my favorite scene.
Bang bang.
He's like bang bang.
He's like a little kid, really.
I love Danny. Danny's
Oh no, Danny's great.
So Zane, how would you relate this movie?
Well, for me, in terms of food, I think this movie is like a nice little box or little container of curly fries. Why curly fries?
Like what type of curly fries? Like Arby's curly fries or like
Arby's curly fries? Yeah.
Not like.
Thank you for asking to further distinction.
Yeah, no, I do need the further distinction.
Yeah.
It's like if you just went to like
Generic
Walmart
curly fries
or something.
Yeah.
It's not the
No. Arby's curly fries.
Okay.
So
the good curly.
yeah, the good curly fries.
Okay.
They're like that to me because
small, medium, or large?
I'm gonna go middle of the road, medium.
Medium.
Yeah.
Right.
A fair size. But to me, it's like curly fries because, like I said earlier, to especially to like American audiences, British comedy is kind of quirky and stuff like that and different. But I personally prefer it over American comedy because I just like it, the faster pace of it, and overall like more jokes and different kinds of jokes. Not to say that I don't like American comedy at all. It's just I like British more. And curly fries are, to me, they're like quirky. Most people don't get curly fries. Actually, I know a lot of people that don't like curly fries, but they're tasty. To me, they taste like just a tiny better than normal French fries. And French fries are already great,
Yeah.
And also curly fries because almost every time you get curly fries at Arby's, there's always one or two little normal fries at the bottom, just to spice it up a bit.
Sometimes even an onion ring.
And to me, that relates back to the movie in terms of I guess the different forms of comedy that in the movie, but also I guess everything about it, because I really love the visuals in the movie. I know I don't think we talked about that much, if at all, but they're very nice, old rustic buildings and nice fields and stuff like that, and just it clashing with all the stuff that happens in the movie is really great.
That's one. See, that's only bad thing about the movie starting slow and all the action mostly at the end is we don't want to spoil a lot of it, but a lot of the best scenes are definitely at the end. And I want to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not. But I feel like you guys will know which one it is, because I feel like Zane knows which one I'm talking about at the end, close to the end of the movie. So, but
two other things I wanted to say real quick is that I know I've made this comparison with many other foods that I brought up, but I could pretty much eat curly fries almost whenever, and I can watch this movie whenever.
Oh yeah.
And also for me, it wasn't slow at the beginning. To me, the first half to 3/4 isn't slow. I'd say it's more methodical. It takes its time, but I don't think it's slow necessarily. Because I think slow kind of has a bad connotation to it.
When you compare it to the end of the movie, no, it's not like
okay, yeah,
it's
and
not
that it is
dragging.
slow.
It's just not nearly the same pace as at the end of the movie.
I got you.
And not in a bad way. I'm just saying, not how it is at the end.
Okay.
I guess for me, I know I've done something similar to this for one of the films, but to me, this movie is definitely those $2 pizzas that you just buy from Dollar General or Walmart, stick it in the oven, make good easy dinner.
Okay.
This movie is like that for me because my family, as a big family, we would buy a $5 box movies, and then we would get a bunch of those and make dinner and sit down and eat it. This is one of those films to me.
Oh, that's cool.
I would definitely like if I saw this film, it wouldn't like jump out to me because like this is the first time I watched this movie, but you know, it was still great. But I wouldn't buy it probably when it first came out, not because it's not bad, just because I have no knowledge of it and I have no full care.
Yeah.
But like for watching it with like family or dinner movie Friday night,
Yeah.
great. So that's
So would you say that you seeing it now, you appreciate it more than if you would have seen it if you were younger?
yeah. If I would have saw it like when it came out, like if I went to theaters to see it, especially how expensive theaters are, would have been more upset than if I just waited for it to actually come out, buy the movie, because the movie is great, so I would buy the movie and then watch it at home at my own pace while eating dinner.
Yeah.
Because not only do I save money, I have a better time doing it.
Yeah. So how would you compare this comedy to all the other comedic films I've recommended that we watch for the show? In terms of like, I'm pretty sure you like Clerks 2 the most.
Clerks
You thought that one was the funniest?
A lot of, all of them have their moments. I want to say any of them. There's not one that stands out to me as hands down the funniest. Okay. There's definitely jokes that I like from a lot of them, but there's not one film that's just like, this one definitely the funniest. The one that I probably laughed at the most, out of watching any of them, especially my first time watching any of the films, is definitely Kung Pao Into the Fist.
Yeah.
But all of that, like, because like comedy in general is just so selective.
Subjective.
Yeah. Well, it's also selective.
Oh, okay. Did you mean selective? Subjective?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's both.
Yeah.
It's both, but I mean, to me, I feel like you and me both have a pretty broad range of what we find funny, and sometimes not appropriate, I guess. I
can find almost anything funny.
Yeah, so, I mean, I like a lot of dark humor. I know not a lot of people like it. So, to me, yeah, none of them are the top spot.
Yeah. But you still enjoyed this film.
But, I love all of them. They all have good jokes.
Good. I'm glad you've enjoyed all of them so far.
Yeah. Yeah. The only movie that I haven't enjoyed that we reviewed is Hush.
Yeah, and you recommended that one.
I did, because I wanted us to go over one bad film.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, we should never went over it. But at the same time, it gives us a reference point. And I know that anybody that's ever watched Hush probably does. Not a lot of people would agree with me on it. I don't know. Do you agree?
I mean, you were definitely harsher on it than I was.
I just don't like the movie. I like the idea behind the movie, but I don't like the movie.
And actually, just as a quick thing, there's a movie that I just thought that's similar to Hush that I actually think you would like a lot more. But anyway, I think that wraps it up for this show.
Wraps it up. But
yeah, we both, I think it's safe to say, we both recommend this film. Yep. I recommend it very highly.
Also, it's on Netflix. It's about, I don't know if you did the runtime, it's about 2 hours?
It's a little over 2 hours.
A little over 2 hours,
yeah.
But it is on Netflix. So watch it while you can before they take it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, before they take it down. Zane, do you want to announce next week's?
Yeah.
Thursdays?
Yeah, actually, all I'm going to say for next week, or for next episode, for the next movie is Go America. Yeah.
America.